All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. My name's Laura, and I'm here with Dr. Monica. I'm so happy to be here. So, during this live stream, we're going beyond the scale to show and tell some of the main reasons why people might have trouble losing weight, keeping weight off. And we're just going to discuss how mindfulness can help um, people get that weight off in a way that they never thought about before. Um,
Exactly.
so, yeah, Dr. Monica, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Monica J.R. Williams Riley. I'm a board certified family medicine physician who specializes in functional medicine. And I'm super duper excited to have this conversation and share it with Ms. Lauren Rainey. I am so proud that we have been able to collaborate and bring this information to our audiences because I think it's something that's not talked about enough. The power of the mind in every area of our lives. And this is an area that a lot of my clients who come in are talking about and that we touch on. So I am excited about being here today. I do a wellness. I have a company here in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and we manage people in wellness and we give them customized wellness plans to teach them how to get over these hurdles of their health. And one of those hurdles, of course, is weight. But I'm not a weight loss clinic doctor, but in adjusting people's mindsets, adjusting people's lifestyles, we're able to get them to places where they're able to be more balanced. And this is part of it. So I'm excited to have this conversation.
Definitely. Likewise. I'm excited as well. And
So, Lauren, tell them what you do.
yeah, so I have a degree in exercise physiology. I got my bachelor's recently in 2021. And since then, I'd coming out of college, I actually did want to be a personal trainer. And so having some background in fitness and um, nutrition being really very adjacent to fitness, I was missing, I felt like I was missing a key component of that fitness, health and fitness um, expertise, which was the mindfulness. So, right before actually graduating in my second semester of senior year of college, I started um, in a meditation teacher training and
Mm,
learned 12 different styles of meditation, including four different styles of breathwork techniques for
mm,
reducing stress, lowering the blood pressure, lowering the stress hormone for the fight or flight response. And going into that meditation teacher training, it gave me a lot more insight about how there are so many systems in the body that we're not aware of that affect so much more than just our physical aspects on the outside,
mhm,
and that we focus a lot on how we look. And for a lot of people, the weight in your body size, or it's about how, not only how you're looking but how you're feeling. And
yes.
so getting getting or going inward toward how you feel about the health decisions that you make, and not only how it looks, was a big barrier for me to get
Yeah.
to as somebody in the health and fitness field. After that, I realized that I wanted to um, coach people mindfully on a holistic mind, body, spirit route. And for the past 2 years, I've been a mindfulness coach,
Mm,
and my started my business in 2021 right after I graduated, Holistic Fit Meditation, to help working adults relieve their stress, decrease their anxiety, and overall be less unbothered,
mm.
or I'm sorry, more unbothered, so they can live life with more joy and more peace. Um, I currently do one-on-one coaching, as well as I'm a yoga and meditation.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, obviously for my audience, they know that because of what you just explained, you are a perfect partner in what we do here at Deep Rooted Health, because it's more than just about how we look, which obviously concerns people. And it is an indication of how we are. Um, it's a physical indication of how we are. So it does matter. And it's not just about what size you are, size 2 versus a size 10 or 15. It's really about, your skin, and it's about, your eyes and your hair and your nails. All those things are indicators of what your health really is. But also, you know, how you feel is reflected in how you look, how your mindset is reflected in how you look. Depression can show itself physically, in how your body represents itself. And so that's why I really, really was so excited when Lauren and I decided to have this discussion, because it is imperative that we start looking on the inside, as we look on the outside, as the social media has us look on the outside all the time to see, is that person in shape or not. But it really is about mindset, truly, as the beginning to start it all. Because guess what? If you don't think about making a change, there's no change going to happen. So it always
Yeah.
starts with the mind. But then I don't think we've taken the mind as far as it can go, as far as the impact that it has on all the rest. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Yes. Yeah. And really quickly, if you're here in the live stream, if you can relate to what we just talked about, feeling like there's something more to health than just your physical appearance, then put a one in the chat. If you can also relate to knowing that your health, there's more that affects your health than just the way that you feel, and then put a two in the chat if that resonates to you, and then put a three in the chat if all three of them relate to you, if all two of them relate to you, right?
Yes.
So somebody put a one in the chat, right? I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to that. So we definitely have Dr. Monica and I definitely have certain things that we wanted to bring up and talk about, just as um, discussion or talking points to get your mind thinking. Somebody put a two in the chat, right? So just to get your mind thinking about what pressing issues we might be facing currently and how to overcome them. So thank you for your twos and threes. I see them coming in ones. So something that I want to know, Dr. Monica, is what do people, when they come to you, what do people usually say is their number one stressor? Like what stresses them out and what's weighing them down?
Interestingly enough, believe it or not, the thing that stresses most people out, and this is men and women, is their
Yeah.
weight. Their weight is
Mm,
the number one thing that stresses people out. And I think um, I don't think it's as much because of what we would hope it would be, is that because the weight is affecting how they feel, but it's affecting how they look and how they see themselves. They don't see themselves as either they used to or as they want to. And kind of
yeah.
closely followed behind that would probably be work. And work is something that a lot of times we don't feel like we have control over what we do for a living or who we do it for. And so that can be very stressful. Being an entrepreneur is stressful as well, because there's so much pressure to either take care of just yourself or your family, and or the employees that you employ. So I think that that would be another one, that I would say comes in a second. But the weight is the biggest thing that people come in, and that's why the drug industry for weight loss is so great. And then follow behind work, is kids, which you would think would be, kids in relationships would be higher. But I don't hear people coming in complaining about their children more often. We actually spend a lot of time, being really proud of our children. Even if they stress you out a little bit, they don't really rank as high as your personal well-being or how you feel about yourself. So I think weight is the number one, that I get. For you, Lauren,
Wow.
would you say that you hear a lot about people's weight, or do you hear about stress, or what do you hear about?
I hear about the number one thing causing stress is overwhelm because of home situations going on at home. Um, uh, People who often come to me, well, I have a YouTube channel, and then someone also said sleep problems.
Hmm.
Um,
And we'll talk about.
those things, they tie in together. So when there's things going on at home, and that could include the kids, the working at home, and having to, especially during COVID, er, almost every parent had to learn how to homeschool their children
I
and
feel
realize that teachers have a great job. Teachers have a great
so much
responsibility.
respect for teachers COVID brought out. I don't know why
Yeah.
teachers haven't gotten a raise after COVID, because I heard so many
Oh,
parents complaining about not their kids, but educating their kids. Like that
yeah.
was a big stress point, like having
Yeah.
to go back to school. So you're right, that definitely is something that comes up a lot. Now, before
Yes.
we get too far, because I want to make sure that my audience, I know your audience is really familiar, but some people aren't familiar with the word mindfulness. So what is mindfulness?
That's a great question. Mindfulness to me is awareness, like
Mm-hmm.
one word, awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that can be self awareness, awareness of the environment around you,
Mm-hmm.
awareness of how you respond to your certain situations. And I like to think of the fact that for me, awareness is the first agent of change.
Mm-hmm.
So, to change anything going on in your situation, something that we feel like is too big for us to overcome by ourselves, becoming aware of what tools or things that you have in your space that are either blocking you from getting there
Mm-hmm.
or that you are empowering um, to stay in your way.
Yeah.
And that mindfulness can look like many things. When many people think of like modern day mindfulness, they think of meditation, which
Mm-hmm.
I am a meditation teacher. Uh, that's a huge part of being mindful, but it could also include mindful eating
Mm-hmm.
and noticing that when you are, for example, eating and watching TV, I can't lie, I eat and watch TV all the time, or I eat and watch YouTube videos, and we don't realize that we're eating a little bit faster. Maybe we're even gulping in air pockets
Mm-hmm.
because we're eating faster and we're not being mindful of the tastes or even the ingredients in our food that are nourishing. And it becomes eating to just get it over with and not eating to nourish the body. It could be mindful eating, mindful sleeping. So there's a lot of activities that could go under the mindfulness umbrella.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just being more aware of how your actions are serving you or not serving you.
That's great. That's great, because I think people do kind of clump mindfulness and meditation all together. And I
Yeah.
think the important part about it is mindfulness can go on outside of meditation, and and vice versa. So, or I don't know if you can. Yeah, I guess you could say they could do vice versa, because in meditation sometimes you get lost in where you are, and that's okay. I think that's a whole nother conversation about, correctly meditating. What does that really mean? And is that really a thing to really correctly meditate? Because your mind can wander and that still be okay. But mindfulness, I love what you said, is really about being
Yeah.
aware of what you're doing. And I think everybody can agree that if you actually really knew enough about the negative things that you were doing that were going into your body, you could at least seek out help. You may not know what to do,
Mhm.
but you could at least seek out help to make a change. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, and also some of the things you said about sleep and about eating and how that physiologically is, meaning like how the body actually is dealing with how we deal with ourselves.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and to your point on um, most people saying that weight weighs them down as far as what stresses them out, sometimes your stressor is just the fact that you are stressed about whatever
Right.
whatever it is.
Right.
So um, to that point, how can we prioritize eliminating the largest stressor, the most immediate stressor in our lives?
I think that's a huge question. It's a big question because, like, I guess almost you say, if I had the answer to that, I'd be a millionaire. Because
Mhm.
it's not the same answer for everybody. But what is, I think, the main thing is number one, acknowledging what the problem is, taking a time to actually acknowledge, because what gets you in most trouble is ignoring it, is ignoring it. So
Yes.
taking a moment to actually acknowledge what really hurts your feelings, what really is your pain point, what how you really feel about that job that you're going into, how you really feel about your kids, how do you really feel about the relationship that you're in, and understanding that even if it's not, you're not okay with it, that it doesn't make you powerless. What makes you powerless
Mhm.
is not exploring it, because we run from everything. We run away from things and we think that that's going to make it better, or you can outrun it, but you can't outrun it. The only thing that you really can do to make a change in anything is to be aware of it. So
Yeah.
that's the first way that you attack it, is that you develop awareness. And that's why mindfulness is so powerful. So developing awareness, because I'll tell you, I have clients who feel like they're doing everything, doing all the things, as we say. They're going to work out. They've got a gym membership. Like, how many people, drop in the chat, how many people have a gym membership they pay every month? And sometimes you show up and sometimes you don't. Drop a one in the
Yeah.
chat if you know that you have a gym membership but you don't go. Drop a two in the chat if you want to have a gym membership but haven't pulled the trigger on, starting. And the gym membership can be everything from, at the Gold's Gym to lift weights. It can be at the Pilates studio. It could be at the yoga studio. You know that this is something that you are supposed to do. So if you have first determined that there's a problem, then at that point, you're at least starting. That's your starting place. So where I come in with my clients is I have them, even though they're coming in, they're like, listen, Dr. Monica, I go to gym, I'm in the boot camps, I've been on this diet, I've been on that diet, and I still can't lose the weight. We've addressed the hormones, we've done all this. You promised me. No, I didn't promise anything, but let's take a look at it. And so when we take a look at things, what I find is high up there is, like you said, stress. They're not, because of stress, because of working so hard, they're not relaxing. They're not
Mm.
allowing their body time to be able to heal, to recover. Why? There's certain parts of the body that are actually meant to work in cycles. Most of our body does. And when we don't allow those things to happen because we haven't stopped and made ourselves aware, then guess what? The body actually works against us.
Yeah. What you said when you said drop a one on the chat if you know that you need to get back to gym, let me drop a one in the chat for me now because let me tell you, as a even as a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, that's work for me.
Yeah,
That's my job. And so um I am so wrapped up in my job that I don't dedicate enough time to do my own yoga practice, to do my own gym routine, because the schedule is always changing. And so when I used to work at LA Fitness back in from 21 to 2022, I had access to the gym. Some days I went to the gym, some days I did not. But I was physically at the gym about 6 days a week.
right, right,
Did I go all of those times? No, I did not. And I worked there. I went there for free. I had a free membership.
right,
Um,
right.
is it it is a huge mind block to prioritize the things that we know that we need to, that we know will make us better,
Yeah,
not just in the physical aspect, but relieve stress because working out does release those um, epinephrine, norepinephrine hormones, those dopamine levels. and all of those um, feeling good hormones and serotonin, right? And so when we go to do things that are good for us, what's
Testosterone
that?
levels. People come to me about hormone levels, testosterone levels, things like that. These are all
Right.
things that are actually beneficial to both men and women. That the actual activity of exercise releases and helps stress, and cortisol, has its own role in that. And we'll talk about that because you're exactly right. I'm as guilty as the next person because I'm exhausted because of the long hours working to serve other people. I think those of us in service, we are guilty as well. Rarely do we get enough time to stop and take care of ourselves. But being aware is half the battle, and kind of developing a schedule. I
Mm,
just had a client this morning, and my recommendation, and I recommend some odd things, probably a lot different than some clinicians do, but I recommended that he take a walk. He was feeling guilt about not exercising. He would kind
mhm.
of been doing well with his food, but he hadn't been feeling guilty. Well, guilt is not as a positive emotion necessarily for your body. So I said, guess what? Stop. You don't have to go to the gym. Take a walk. Just
Yes.
take a walk after work today. And two things, it relieves the guilt because you are doing something. And number two, your mind begins to then explore what ways can I do this differently. So
Mm,
doing a little of something is better than doing nothing at all. And that's in so many different areas of our lives. So I tell people, take a walk. I tell people, take a vacation. Like I prescribe these things. And this is what I've seen make shifts in people's well being, their lives, and their weight.
yes. That's powerful. What
Mhm.
you just said, take a walk. Even though you didn't go to the gym and run on the treadmill or go on the elliptical, you're doing something.
Absolutely.
Um, I work as a stretch therapist, or flexologist. So I'm stretching people one on one.
Mm,
It almost looks like physical therapy,
yeah.
and that's what I do part time. And so I have a lot of clients that will say to me, okay, I need to implement this at home. And the only reason that I come in person is that I know that I wouldn't do it at home, but I know that I need to do it
Yeah.
because people, when you get stretched, you release those, dopamine, that's those feeling good hormones into your body, as well as you relax the muscles.
Yes.
And it's to me, stretching is almost just as important as the workout because you're still doing things that are helping heal the body, and it's part of the workout.
Absolutely.
And my response to them is, well, if you want to start doing this and implementing this is the same for going to work out or going to lose weight or implement your eating regimen, or whatever it is. Apply it little by little
Yes.
and don't try to go straight into it cold turkey because either whether you're trying to cut something out or bring something in, it's the same thing. Don't go into it like, okay, I'm going to go from not working out at all or not stretching at all or eating all the junk to I'm just going to work out for an hour a day. I'm just going to start running for an hour a day. I'm not going to start doing that. I'm going to start cutting out all the sodas that I drink in the week.
Little. That's
Start
it.
small. Right? How many of us can relate? I Me included. Put a one in the chat if you've ever started a routine by going all out, and then that all out led to burnout. Put a
Yes.
one in the chat if that's you, because that is what leads to the inconsistency and the shame for not doing it. Because then we'll think, when we don't become consistent in it, then we'll think where it's kind of like that classic self sabotage.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that we weren't supposed to go and implement all of the routine at once. Just start with a little out of day. Just do something And then from that something, allow yourself to clear your mind of all the guilt, of all the negative thoughts, and then implement it when your mind is healthy, and then allow your body to follow that.
I think it's a great point. I think I really emphasize to people that pain is a gift. Pain is a gift because pain lets you know when something is going on that the body is not particularly liking, and that's mental pain, physical pain. So when you do, you go all out like that weekend warrior. I'm going to go run my marathon, and I haven't practiced in forever. I'm going
Yeah.
to go to the gym and work it out an hour. Guess what? That means you will not be back because
Yeah.
the pain that you will suffer makes you feel like you've done something wrong, or you just or don't want to feel that again. And even when I was running track as a young person, there's something to be said for like endurance training, for what we call interval training. You actually would walk the straightaway, run the curve. Like, you don't have to kill yourself to make changes. And even at my young age of 53, I find that a little workout is better than no workout, and your body will start to accumulate the work that you've done, and it's less stress on the body, because stress actually brings out parts of your hormones that are harmful. So especially long term stress. Acute stress is natural, and the body is made for it, but it's the long term stress that actually causes the problem. And so that long term stress is what leads to weight gain, leads to all those things that people complain about. So yes, a little is better than none, unless you're used to a lot, and then you're actually at that place where you're actually enjoying the little bit of press into to the uncomfortable place.
Yes. Yeah. That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
And so you talked about the physiological responses to stress, such as your hormone levels, something happens there, and um, the fight or flight response we mentioned as well. What are those things, and why is it important for more individuals to be educated on stress levels while trying to lose weight?
So this is really, really important. Number one, what I really find the most impactful and what people get the most out of coming to Deep Rooted Health is that we take time. My average visit is an hour, and the reason that is so that we can actually have conversations, and I can explain not only how that things are happening, but how they're happening. So if you understand how things are happening, number one, you can do something about it. That's mindfulness. And number two, you can also educate others about what and why you do the things that you do as you're educating yourself. So let's talk about stress. Stress we're going to talk about the mind and the body and how the two connect in this area. So you have areas in your brain, hypothalamus, pituitary, and those areas work together. And when those areas work together, they cause the adrenal gland to produce what we know as cortisol, right? And people have heard about that word; they throw it around a lot. But cortisol is not a bad word. I think it gets a bad rap because we only hear about the negative part. But cortisol is really important because it actually helps the body respond to stress. And it does by giving you more energy and keeping you alert. But
Mhm.
those things are supposed to happen in short spurts, fight or flight. You're not supposed to be fighting all the time, and you're not supposed to be flighting all the time. If you are in a continuous mode of fight or flight, which is what a lot of us are, and that's our problem, is that we're not like sprinters. We don't have a race and then we're done and we relax for a while. We are all marathoning. And that is what's causing the epidemic of obesity. And I could say one of the major causes of the epidemic of obesity, besides the fact that our food sources are not helping out either, but that continuous chronic stress that leads to having cortisol levels continuously is where we're finding that we're having the most trouble with
Mhm.
with weight. So when you have prolonged cortisol levels, then these are the problems that you have. So this is going to affect you from a metabolism standpoint. Chronic cortisol levels will cause your metabolism to change. It'll cause you to have cravings for food and for what we call foods that would be stress relieving, or how do people call them?
The comfort
They're
foods.
comfort foods. And so if you're trying to make yourself feel better, remember that cortisol is supposed to give you energy. It's supposed to make you alert. But if you're always in that state, you've got to feed that state. So that feeding
Mm,
state is going to make you hungry. But it's almost like the cookie monster. It's like, I'm so
mm,
hungry and I can't get this hunger to go away. That's the cortisol. So now I'm just eating anything to try to make this stop, make satisfy that.
wow.
So think
Mm,
about that. So that is why the prolonged cortisol leads to your longing for food all the time, and therefore you can't be not being in touch with mindfully in touch with what your body is actually asking for. You can't even satisfy
wow.
that craving. So we start eating sugar and things that cause highs, and to see if we can't get that to go away. Another thing that it does cause is fat storage. So what you'll see is that you'll see a lot of people complain about, yeah, I'm doing fine everywhere, but I got this gut. Right? That's men or women. How
Yeah.
many men and women out there can relate to having the gut? The gut, the gut, the gut. So understand that that's also the body under stressful conditions is going to try to store fat because it feels like, guess what? At some point, we're gonna need this energy. So let me turn it into fat, and I'm gonna keep it around. I'm gonna turn it into stubborn fat in an area that I can store it, so that if I get
Mm,
stuck out on an island somewhere and I need food, I'll eat that first. I'll convert that into energy first. So that's what the cortisol is meant to do. So it goes back to, we're not meant to stay in a stressful situation, because guess what? We don't need the amount of belly fat that we are all storing. We don't need that.
yeah.
If you're storing belly fat, you're not about to be stuck on an island somewhere. You're not being chased by a bear all day. You
Yeah.
don't need that. But that's that cortisol trying to save your life because you're in a mindful state of stress all the time. You also mentioned sleep. So sleep is another place. I think we were talking about that the other day, how important sleep is.
Yeah.
So when your cortisol levels are chronically elevated, you're going to find you have sleep disturbances, either the inability to fall asleep or stay asleep. Why? What did I say? Cortisol increases your energy and increases your alertness,
Mm,
right? So if your cortisol level is high, it's not allowing you to shut down. And therefore, the sleep part, where we're supposed to actually be resting and rejuvenating, we're missing that. So when you don't do that, then you have issues with growth hormone, because our kiddos, even the same thing with our young people, growth hormone and all those things are used to help with our development, and those things are
yeah.
thrown up as well. The other, I guess, the thing that people don't realize is their immune system as well, because
Mm,
cortisol affects your immune system. And so, if your immune system is weak, a lot of times it's because you are stressed.
wow.
And that is having to do with your immune system's response to having chronically elevated cortisol levels. So, why do we feel like we get sicker all the time and we just can't ever get well? Well, because we're not getting enough sleep, because our cortisol levels are keeping us alert, and are not keeping our immune systems, giving it time to shut down, and therefore be able to heal us for the viruses and bacterias and things that come across. So those are some of the areas that your body, how it responds to elevated cortisol levels chronically. Short
Yeah.
amounts are important. Chronically, we have fat storage accumulation. We have insulin resistance that comes because of the fat storage, and the body's ability to actually know what to do with that sugar that we are storing. Our immune systems are affected because our immune system is weakened by not being able to rest and having high cortisol levels too often. Sleep is a problem, and when we don't sleep, then we don't have a good time to reverse the things that have occurred during the day and recover. And then hormone imbalance. Our hormones, testosterone, estrogen, thyroid, growth hormone, are all thrown off when we're not able to bring those cortisol levels down, and those other levels are able to stabilize.
Wow. That's the power of just looking at all of the factors and not just one or two things
Yeah,
externally, because when you connect everything like that, your sleep, it seems like there's a centralized system of your hormones um, releasing or either being releasing for a prolonged amount of time. And I like to remind people as well that uh, anxiety and the difference between that and stress is that stress is for that quick moment to get us out of a very stressful situation, and it's like that sprint. um, when stress turns into from the sprint to the 4 mile run,
Correct.
that is anxiety. It
Yes.
is prolonged stress. It's a prolonged fight or flight response where just little things or little triggers here and there are scratching at old wounds, and we are holding that stress all the time, releasing those hormones all the time. What resonated with me, one of the most, is the comfort foods and the eating.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because when we went back to the mindful eating and why most people, I find, most people, just from working in a gym, working also as a stretch therapist,
Hmm.
most people's um, struggle to lose weight is even when they're doing the workout routine,
Yes.
you cannot out eat. Um, you cannot out eat a good workout plan.
Right.
You can't outrun a bad diet. So they both go hand in hand.
Hand
You
in
know,
hand.
even if you're doing the workout routine and you're working with a personal trainer and whatnot, the nutrition, and not just about what you're eating, because I personally do not believe in a good or a bad diet.
Mm.
Everybody's diet, everybody's routine is going to be different to their body. However, there is the power of mindful eating and
Yes.
knowing that what you're putting into your body, if it's not resonated with you, or if we have those one or two comfort foods that we're always grabbing. For me, it's something salty and crunchy, or sugary and soft. It's either one extreme.
Or the other. So
One,
tell me this, are there any potential challenges or considerations that we should be aware of when we use mindfulness for stress management and weight loss? Like, can mindfulness help address when we're doing that emotional eating and cravings and like that get in the way of that weight loss? What could we do to give them to help with that?
definitely. So we want to address the stress
Hmm.
first of all, and be more aware. Going back to that awareness, mindfulness allows you to, whatever situation that you're in, notice what causations around you are causing you to feel this way, whether it's at home, whether it is a situation that you're having a difficult time escaping from, coping from, or dealing with, or obstacle that you feel like is too powerful for you to get over. And to me, one of the most important things is to sit in silence and retract from distractions.
Hmm. Mm.
That means that um, the Netflix shows and Hulu shows that you really like to watch, the um, this constant scrolling on Facebook or liking and resharing. Sometimes you have to cut those things out
Mm.
and all of them at once, so that you can have uh, some non-stimulation.
Yes.
All of our senses, sight, what we watch, hearing, what we're listening to, the music that we're listening to, what are people saying around us, what narratives are people telling us that we're replaying over and over and over in our head. Oh, you trying to start that program? Good luck, because all the other weight loss programs did not work. You know
Right.
what are we repeating in our mind? So all of your senses, sights, taste, the mindful eating, touch, smell, even
Mm.
those affect your experience. And so our senses are always being overloaded, retracting from those senses, and because we're really desensitized. We're
Absolutely.
desensitized to what all of these things are doing to our body. And we feed ourselves in more ways than just what we put in our mouth. We
Yes.
have more holes than our mouth. We have our ears, we have our eyes.
And we have
And
our
so,
skin. Our skin is the one we don't even think about the tactile stimulation that we have. You're so
Right.
right. And don't forget, I think people, I hear so often people, um, like, I can't go to sleep without the TV on. You,
Mm,
but your mind is still, even though you quote unquote are sleeping, your mind is still has to negotiate and navigate
yeah.
that sound. So I'm not saying that, if you need a TV to go to sleep, okay, but put that timer on. Make sure that it's
Yeah.
not on when you wake up, because guess what? Your mind has watched that TV show all night. You haven't, your eyes haven't, but your mind has. You have another sense. You have a hearing sense. And your mind has definitely been not able to shut down. So I think your point is so true that quiet is a blessing. And guess what? If people don't like quiet, then that's a great symptom that there's something going on. If you
Yes.
can't get quiet, then that means you need to get quiet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I in my one-on-one coaching program that I offer, one of the main exercises that I assign people to do is when they're feeling anxious and stressed, especially if it is something at home, I instruct them to sit in silence for 5 minutes a day. Just
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yes.
No music, no TV, no, just listen to the birds chirping outside, sit in your room, sit outside if you want to get away from the house, but find time to be in silence and resist or take your attention away from the urge to pick up your phone and start scrolling.
Right.
Resist the urge to indulge in distractions because a lot of us are attracted to stress. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
that is a thing. We actually feel rewarded when we indulge in the things that stress us out because
Yes.
that's what's comfortable. And then um, being silent and being still becomes uncomfortable,
Yeah.
becomes associated with discomfort, but that's actually what we need to have more peace of mind, stillness,
Yes.
just silence, peace and quiet. Um,
That revelation can really come in that mode of silence. So that problem that you're trying to so feverishly trying to figure out can be solved in just rest,
yeah,
stillness, and really letting the real truth come to the surface, and don't push it back down when it does, because sometimes it comes out in an emotional way. You just start, maybe you start crying or you start laughing and you don't even
yeah,
know why, but that is what's been being pushed down and be having the ability to come out. Those walks that we talk about, sometimes when I get a moment, I literally will just walk around my building and the sunshine on my face, things that I've been like trying to figure out, I'll come back into the office and be like, I figured it out, because I want
totally.
to give myself that moment not to be trying to figure it out.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. You have a task in your head, so you go upstairs and then you get upstairs and you're like, what did I come up here for? Just be still for a second. It'll come to you. Maybe it'll come to you an hour later, but it'll come to you. We and this is my last. This would be my last question for you as well. Um, Based upon your knowledge, what would be what's the most prevalent thing that people would need to get over
Mhm.
in order to lose the stubborn weight?
um, get over your own pre notions about who you are, and like how you define yourself.
Mm,
I believe that's probably the key to our stress,
yeah,
is our definitions of ourselves and those around us. So you have to be able to release those things to be able to get past yourself and your blocks.
yeah,
And an example of that is what we think about how successful we are, what it takes to be that successful, what success really looks like, what we think about how successful our kids are. Because that isn't that like drop in the chat if one of the things that stresses us out is, oh my gosh, my kids are going to be horrible because they didn't do this, they didn't go to
mhm,
college, they didn't finish in time. They they're not in class. They're not the head of their class. They're
Mhm.
failing their class. They have a learning disability, and they don't like get over the pre notions of what we think we're supposed to be, because all you are is what you are. Now, it does not mean that you cannot change. What it does mean is that to give yourself space to change, you've got to get over who you thought you were
Mm. Yeah.
to find out who you want to be. So that to me is the biggest hurdle for everyone. Even if you're successful, it's like, I'm so successful, why can't I lose the weight? Well, get over that. Get over that. Look at the fact that you are a human, that you need rest, that you are not Superman or Superwoman, that it's okay to say no, that you don't have to be yes for everyone, that you can stop and say I can't or I don't know how. Those are not
Mm.
bad things. Doesn't mean you can't learn how, doesn't mean you can't come back at another time, that there won't be another opportunity, but it means right now, right here, I cannot. And then the freedom in being able to verbalize that, because not verbalizing that can cause stress on the people around you because you just shut
Yeah.
down and go away. And if you got to do that, then you got to do that. But the real freedom is in saying, learning how to say no, or I
Yeah.
can't, or I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that is good. And somebody commented, that's good. That is good. I was that that was truly a great way to end off our um question segment of this chat.
But I have one question for you
On
before we go,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I don't think people really understand what techniques you would suggest for them to use in trying to tackle this mindfulness and their weight. So give them some short techniques that you would suggest, that they could use.
Yes, yes. I understand because based upon other factors that I would assign my clients, such as their home life, which is
Yes.
really big, and the amount of time they feel like they have to dedicate,
Hmm.
as well as their current level of physical activity and other environmental factors, I might assign them a different technique
Okay.
based upon that. One main gen I would say generic
Hmm.
is counting the breath.
Hmm.
So there's a type of meditation called Zen breath meditation. And your inhale, you count one, exhale, you count two, inhale again, you count three, exhale again, count four, and then continue counting your inhales and exhales until you get to 10, and then begin again at one.
Okay.
When I was talking about the retracting from your distractions, a lot of people, when they hear meditate, they think, oh, that's really hard.
Right.
And especially when people are stressed, we need something to really, we need a movement piece in the meditation and the mindfulness that is moving, because something that's moving and that we can measure, it's easier to put our awareness on that thing.
Yes.
So counting the breath, and especially counting the breath, because the breath, you'll always be breathing as long as you're here and living and moving.
That's right.
So counting the breath 1 to 10, inhales, exhales, um, you're allowed to let thoughts come up and then release them,
Hmm.
and then bring your awareness back to the count, but bring your awareness back to the count every single time. That is one of the main ones that I would assign someone who's a beginner, and also, oh yeah, you can't cut off for a second. Someone who is, beginning, and then someone who is very highly stressed. Another technique is box breathing. And the reason that we focus so much on the breath is because the breath regulates the systems in the body. So the breath does regulate your blood pressure and your heart rate. Because when you have your fight or flight response, your heart rate speeds up, your blood pressure rises and elevates. So we want to put those levels back at the homeostasis and bring them back to normal. And so another one that I really like is box breathing. So yeah, somebody asked about the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Yes, there are many different techniques for counting the breath.
Hmm.
And that, counting your breath in and out is one of my personal favorites, but also the 478 breathing technique is amazing. Another one is box breathing, which is inhale for 4. So you imagine a box, inhale for 4, hold the breath for 4, exhale for 4, and hold the breath for 4.
Great.
And then you keep going like that and imagining that box, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. It actually does um, speed it. It levels out the breath to where if you're in an SOS situation and maybe you're having a panic moment right then and there, it allows you to regulate the breath in a way that sort of does excite the nervous system, but also calms it down at the same time. So you're bringing that back into homeostasis. Yes, the Zen breath
This
one is amazing.
use it
It's
too.
amazing. It's one of my favorites for beginners to focus. So yeah.
Yeah, we like that. We like that. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for the questions as well. Do you have anyone have any additional questions for us, for either myself or for Lauren? This has been a great conversation. I
Yeah.
knew that it would be very, very informative. I knew it would be something that people really wanted to know more about and that we don't spend enough time talking about. So we want to continue the conversation on both of our platforms. The work that we both do is so important to our community getting back to taking care of itself. It's just that important. And medications, they have their place in saving people's lives at the last minute, but what we have the responsibility of doing is prevention and taking care of ourselves on a daily basis. And these kinds of things that we're talking about are really the medicine of the body. This is how we take care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, all day, every day. Um, and guess what? Life will keep lifing. There's going to be something that happens, good or bad. We talked about cortisol levels. Those cortisol levels are there. They're there to help us, and they can get out of whack. And it is our job to take control back. It is our job to do and find the things that we can do every day when things are not going the way we want them to go. To take a moment to sit and be still, and to get our minds where we need it to be to help our bodies to heal. So I really appreciate this conversation, Lauren.
Yes, thank you as well. And so before we go, I just wanted to share the main ways that you could reach either of us. And as we close out, you can make sure that if you have Dr. Monica's information, if you are coming from my YouTube channel, um, if you want Dr. Monica's information, you can get her information here. And if you would like my information, then you can as well. Let's see, I want the slideshow.
While Lauren
Great.
is pulling those things up, we have some special offers for you as well. We thank you so much for tuning in today, and we wanted to show our appreciation by giving you some offers for both of our services. So for myself, I do a wellness program here at Deep Rooted Health. We're located in Lawrenceville, Georgia, close to Atlanta, right outside the door. And so for those of you who have tuned in today, and you can share it with your friends, hopefully you all can, those who maybe come back and watch this on record as well, are still open to these offers. But we do a deep dive program, which is a 3-month intensive program with myself, or a 6-month, which is the Rooted Recharge program, which is an intensive 6-month working one-on-one with myself, where we do specific testing to curate a customized plan for you, work on things like your lifestyle choices, your micronutrient deficiencies, and developing a plan whether you need some mindfulness coaching or need meditation. We have those services as well. And so for the 3-month program, we are doing a $200 off for that service for you all who have tuned in today, and also a $200 off for the 6-month program. So that's a nice significant savings. When you call our office, and Lauren's going to put up our information in just a moment, please let them know that you saw us here on the live today. You can mention the code Be Well, BEWELL, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. But if you mention that you saw us here on this live today, they will give you that $200 off both of those programs. I am extremely excited to work with you all, and also excited to make an announcement that beginning September 11th, we will be having mindfulness and meditation classes here at Deep Rooted Health. So you all call in. Our phone number will be, I don't think we put it up, but our phone number is 770-847-8104, 770, and we'll drop it in the chat. 770-847-8104. Call and get pre-registered for this amazing class. Dr. Monica will be probably in the class with you, and Miss Lauren we will see her again for sure. But she wouldn't. We have a coach that's going to be joining us here in house in our building, and we're really excited about it. So Lauren, what you got for him?
All right. Are you able to see the screen? I'm
Uh,
not sure if I'm.
I am going to drop those up for us, and I'm going to get us out the way for a moment so you
Okay.
can see. All right, Lauren, I think I wanted to make sure they got an opportunity to get all your information in.
Okay.
So your
Great.
screen came up. I did see it. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
This is
Great.
wonderful. So thank you, Lauren, for this amazing conversation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica, for having me on. This was an amazing conversation, and I look forward to being on again, in the
Absolutely.
future.
We got more to talk about. We absolutely have more to talk about. I'm so excited. You all, Lauren, tell them where you're located again.
Oh, yes, I'm located in the DMV area. I'm located in Waldorf, Maryland.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, for all my friends up in that area, y'all know I'm from Philly, so y'all go and support, search her out. She's doing some amazing work there in that area, and she is a friend of Deep Rooted Health, and you all will definitely see her again. Thank you guys so much for sharing this hour with us, and be on the lookout for more coming from both of us. And you all who are interested in these kinds of classes and this kind of work, come see us here in Atlanta. We are having these classes start September 11th, and we're excited about it.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Monica. Everybody have a great day.
All right, you guys have a good one.